Welcome to the God as CEO. We have a special treat today. We have a friend of mine, Barry Termaat, with us today. My name is Reggie Kuipers. We're coming to you from the friendly confines of Bender Commercial Real Estate in our boardroom, doing this side by side, and it's going to be a special treat for me, and I think all of us listening today to listen to Barry and tell have him to tell us a little bit about him and his past and his story and what he's doing now. For some of you, this will be an introduction to Barry, and it's going to be a special treat. And I'm excited to hear what Barry's got to share with us today. Yeah, Barry, a mostly lifelong Sioux Falls resident.
Yeah,
and you have a very compelling story, and would love for you to tell us.
Thank you, Reggie. Yeah. Well, anybody that gets a chance to speak, I think you always have the question right away. You're like, man, why in the world am I qualified to share my story? I mean, everybody's got a story in their life, so why me? So I'm going to put you on the spot. I came up with my answer last night, but I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, Reggie. Like, why, when you thought, like how many people had to turn you down before you chose me, and why me? Why did you choose to want to hear my story?
God as CEO exists to encourage, equip, and activate work as worship, essentially. And I don't know that anybody embodies that more than you and your story.
Thank you.
And so when coming up with a list of folks along with Tony Knorr, you were at the top of the list of folks that we'd like to bring your story into the.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. So this is a great opportunity, and actually, the process of putting this together for me was really life-giving, and it was exciting. As much as you don't want to maybe be the center of attention, it was fun to see what God has done, and that's what I get to share with you today. And so, one of the things I thought about last night was we love as people, we love to tell stories of people's big break. If you think about it, like when did an actor or actress get their big break in life? When did you think about football seasons? And we love the story of the guy that gets cut his freshman year of high school, gains 50 pounds over the summer, and is a first-round draft pick. I was thinking of Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, and he becomes a starting quarterback. Like, when did he get his big break? And so we love stories. And as I think about God as CEO and the people listening today, there's some hard chargers, some people that have started their own businesses, including Reggie himself. We just talked about your big break here earlier. And you all have great stories about your big break in life. And those are stories that are fun to share. And we love those stories. And so I looked at mine, and I am going to tell you about my big break. But one of the things I think that makes my story compelling, even for me, is that I actually got two big breaks in my life. And so I'm going to share those with you today. And the first one is, I'm going to have to take you all the way back to 1990, middle class Sioux Falls, 2116 Elizabeth Drive. And I want you to imagine 9-year-old me in the heat of summer. And I decided it would be a good idea to try out or actually play junior football. So this summer, this is where my story starts, junior football, I think. And it's not what you think. This isn't a story about football. I was the littlest guy on the field. It's amazing for me to think of like that. How did my helmet even stay on my little neck? But I remember that first practice. And that first practice, my coach kind of gave us, here's the positions you'll play. But pretty quickly in the 90s, and I think they still do it a little bit today, they leverage kids, right? When you're in sports, especially rec sports as a kid, they leverage you. And immediately they put you into sales, right? So you're selling candy bars or cookies or whatever. And so that year, 1990, we were selling popcorn. Boxes of popcorn. And my coach gave us each 5 boxes of popcorn to sell, I think is what I've got in my memory. And he kind of helped out just the little thing. And he said, hey, anybody that can sell 50 boxes, I think it was either 50 or 75 boxes of popcorn, you're going to earn a brand new jersey So I'm 9.5 years old, and I'm like, oh my word, I can sell popcorn. And so that started my journey door to door. You can imagine me 9 years old in my neighborhood, beyond my neighborhood. And I just kept going back to the coach and saying, hey, give me 25 more boxes of popcorn until I hit that level. And so I got my first taste of sales selling popcorn door to door. And I was the only one on my team that earned a jersey that year. And that jersey probably still wouldn't fit me today. It was huge, but I was so proud of it, so excited. And so that kind of springboarded me into high school, junior high and high school, where I was the #1 salesperson at Sioux Falls Christian for magazine sales. We always had all these contests, magazine sales. It was a fundraiser. And believe it or not, right when the PlayStation came out, I actually sold the most in the whole school magazines and won a PlayStation when that first came out. And I didn't even really like video games, but for me, that PlayStation was like the symbol, the trophy of winning. And so I went on in high school to work for the Buckle. I hated them all. Don't even really, I mean, I've had this shirt for probably 20 years and don't buy a lot of clothes. And yet, commission sales, the Buckle, big deal to me. Sold tons of clothes, even though I hated them all. So I went on to college at Bethel College in Minneapolis and got married after my junior year. So my grade school sweetheart, Jill, and I got married after my junior year of college. And I looked at the rent and the costs in Minneapolis and went, man, I'm going to have to make some money. And so I convinced Rosedale Chevrolet, I convinced them to let me sell cars part-time while I was going to school full-time. In that first year of sales, my first year while I was going to school, I made a 6-figure income. And I knew right then and there that I could not afford to go to law school at that time and that I was going to be selling cars. And so I moved up quickly. Within a year, I was the finance manager at Rosedale Chevrolet in Minneapolis. And then my dad gave me a call, and he was the director at Billions. And at that time, we talked about the opportunity, and he gave me an opportunity to be a finance manager at Billions to move back to Sioux Falls. And I wasn't planning on it, but it was a God thing. And so my wife and I did that.
Is that where your love of cars came from?
My dad?
Your dad?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, I grew up a car guy's kid. And I don't think it was my intention. My intention was to be a farmer like my grandfather's, but my gifting and my passion was in sales for sure. And I do think my dad gave me a lot of that. Yeah. So anyway, this is 2002. I moved to Sioux Falls, finance manager for Billions. And my big break that we talk about came in 2004. And in 2004, Billions decided to make this 24, I was 23, 24 years old at that time. They gave me the opportunity to be a sales manager at the Kia store that I was working at. They figured, you know what, piddly Kia, this young punk can't mess it up. And so they gave me my first big break. And needless to say, from 2004 to 2008,
there were a lot more Kias on the road.
Yeah, we enjoyed it. Yeah, it was a great time. I would tell you that opportunity was a layup. You know, it was one of those where it was underperforming at the time, and no matter who would have gone into that position, they would have lit it up, and we blew the doors off of it, man. Me and 5 salespeople, we had a tight-knit little group, and it was just beautiful. It was a wonderful time in my life. And from there, from 2008 to 2014, I got the opportunity to be the general sales manager at the Toyota store in Sioux Falls here for Billions, and just had a ton of success during that. So I absolutely loved it.
Can you talk a little bit about, I know you're going to get into more of this, more of your story, but can you talk a little bit about work as worship and how you were implementing that?
Absolutely.
In the car space?
No, that's a good point.
Not a traditional spot of, looking at a worship area as an auto dealer's sales force.
I think as you listen to my story, it's really important that you not hear that I was just in the world and then I left the world. Like, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
This today is not a call, and maybe some of you are fearful of this as a business owner. This is not a call to leave your job and do what you're not good at, even though that's kind of the story of my life. But I remember that my close friend, James Swanson, who is my mentor, he called me Kingdom in Action, man. Kia. So while I was at Kia, it was Kingdom in Action. And so even me and my team, and while I was at Kia, one story real quickly was just that we put dollars aside for every car we sold in order to buy a van for a mission trip that I was taking with my church down to Mexico. And so we actually transported and nationalized a van just through selling Kias. And everyone put $5, $10 aside. I doubled it, whatever. And we ended up buying a van over a year. And so I know that while I was selling cars, my faith was a huge part of that. And it was also integrating it with the salespeople that I had that were below me.
So there was missional alignment from really from day one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's important that my life was a process. And it's not like Christian me, non-Christian me, and the car business was bad. Like, I am so grateful for the opportunities. Billions gave me an unbelievable opportunity.
Yeah.
And in leadership and financially. And so that's what kind of we're going to talk about. And so by the time I was 28 years old, and this really hit me yesterday, I had built my dream home in Sioux Falls, and I owned a ski and fishing condo in Big Sky, Montana, and all the best of everything.
Which is incredible.
28
years old.
Yeah. And so when you're old, like me, or getting old now, all of a sudden 28's like, wow, who do I know that's 28? And so I think that's exciting. I think that's super cool. And the Lord gave me a lot of responsibility really quickly and really early. And I think what's important is that that my wife and I, it's not like we were unhappy. I think a lot of people are expecting at this point for me to say, you know what, everything was empty, things were, going bad, our marriage was struggling, and that's just not true. But for my wife and I, at that stage in our life, we had gotten everything that someone could dream of by 28 years old. And there was an unsettled feeling. There was something in my heart that was like, man, there's got to be something more. And I got that really young. And so in January 2010, and I'm going to share this with you. I've really not shared this with more than a handful of people in my entire life. And so it is deeply personal. But January 3rd, 2010, I believe that the Holy Spirit overtook my heart. And I remember going down my stairs in my house and going in my office in the basement and just weeping and just praying and weeping. And I do believe the Holy Spirit overtook my heart and compelled me to write what I call a 5-year plan to examine what God was really, truly calling me to. And so before I share that plan with you, I want to tell you the impetus. There was 3 things that were the impetus behind me writing this and this weight on my heart, and they're all from God. And so the first thing was out of Romans 12. And in my Bible, it's entitled Marks of a True Christian. So I looked at this Romans 12, Marks of a True Christian. And of course, I want to examine my own heart. And the verse that hit me is Romans 12:16. And I'll read it to you. It says, live in harmony with one another. Do not be haughty, but associate with the lowly. And I've got that in italics here. Associate with the lowly. Never be wise in your own sight. And so that struck me. Like, who am I associating with? Who am I putting around me right now that I would consider lowly? The second thing is I took this mission trip, the short-term mission trip to Mexico with our church. I went in 2006, then I went in 2008. And I would say the number one thing for me, impact-wise, is my understanding of the world was this big. very, very small. I had a poor worldview just with how I'd grown up and I've been around one culture my entire life. And I was very insulated and I did not have a good worldview. And that kind of funnels right into my third impetus for writing this, which is my 2-year-old daughter. We had a 2-year-old daughter, Ella, at that time, one on the way. And I just knew that her worldview wasn't going to be anywhere near reality. And so it really compelled me and challenged my wife and I to, like, how are we going to raise our kids so that they're just not in their own world? They're not insulated. They understand the world a little bit better than maybe we did. And so I don't know.
That's a good point for all of us to probably be challenged it a little bit because, I sense the same in my own family. I'm probably not alone in that, but my kids grew up a little bit differently than I did and wanting them to see the world for what it is and associate and be humble and associate with the lowly. And so this is why I love your story. I mean, because it challenges me every time I'm around you and it inspires me. And I want everybody, to rub off on everybody else because it really is a cool story. And I'm excited to hear.
Yeah.
I don't know what this says other than the top paragraph here.
Yeah.
In the scripture verse. So I'm excited to hear Barry's 5-year plan as to how the Lord is working in his heart as he's hitting all kinds of records with Billion at the Toyota dealership, and he's being a steward of buying vans and supporting mission trips, and you had Bible studies at work as well.
Yeah. We had twice a week. We had Bible studies in the morning. So I think that's important. Is like this wasn't something I had to repent of. This selling cars isn't something that I look back negatively on. It's my favorite thing I do. I love.
He was just selling a car and before this started.
Yeah, I got on the horn and still helping people out. So anyway, I'm going to read this. This is a promise to God, something I wrote in that with those tears that I was compelled to write. Nothing I was thinking about before I wrote it, but I wrote it all in just probably 10 minutes. It says, we, Barry and Jill Termaat, dedicate the next 5 years and beyond to Jesus Christ. As a couple, we feel God has called us to become missionaries in Sioux Falls. Rather than a traditional missionary rallying funds via churches, we believe God has called us to invest our extra resources in becoming debt-free over the next 5 years. If God would will us to be debt-free, Jill and I promise to give our lives to the service of Jesus Christ in less fortunate areas of Sioux Falls. Furthermore, we pledge more time and effort toward being hospitable to the lowly. If Jesus were in Sioux Falls, what would he be doing? Where would Jesus live in Sioux Falls? Is Jesus truly our model for who we want to be? What does being a follower of Jesus really mean if we don't really want to be like him? We will work diligently towards this goal by being more frugal and giving up much of the extravagance that we have been used to in the previous 5 years. Our monetary decisions must be analyzed and prayed over carefully. This doesn't mean we can't fulfill a pressing need if we feel God is calling us to give toward it. Denying oneself is how we're going to save more productively. The ultimate goal of this plan is to honor God. And we feel that amidst our American dream, we've left sharing Jesus Christ in our dust. He's literally on the bench while we pretend that we're controlling the game. It's absolutely essential that these 5 years not be wasted either. While we're saving, Jill and my pledge is to forge relationships that will blossom once we get to the end. This isn't time to seal off the rest of the world and break that seal only when we've reached our debt-free goal. Conversely, we're charged with a goal. This goal is attainable and doable. While we press towards this goal, we must not forsake the ultimate prize, giving God glory through all that we do. Therefore, while we press on, Jill and I will guide our family and our relationships based on our eternal treasures. We're getting way too comfortable with this world, and it's our job to realize and teach our family that we are not home. It is wise to note that we believe that this is God's calling and God's plan, not our own. Jill and I are dedicated to carrying out what we see as God's direction for our lives. Signs pointing towards something else seemed glaringly obvious. My bad health, including stomach issues, joint pain, weight loss, overall poor exercise, have led us to an idea that I cannot do the car business for life. Secondly, Jill has continued on in her career with a chance at working 3 days a week. Why do we need her additional income? Finally, God has continued to stoke a passionate flame in my heart towards the poor through my involvement in the for the fame of his name, FFHN. This is the Mexico trip I went on. The missions committee at church and the Sioux Falls Ministry Center idea. I believe that I'm called to be a missionary, and Sioux Falls is what we know best. Listed below are the habits and goals that Jill and I have to complete our commitment to the 5-year plan. So this is where some of this stuff gets kind of personal. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's just kind of some of my finances. I will tell you this, at the beginning, this is 2010, we had $497,000 in debt. And that's where the miracle really takes place, because I'm a planner, I'm a budgeter big time, but there wasn't the income and paying down that much debt and paying our bills and retaining all the things that we had, just none of them fit. And so I knew that if God was going to do this debt-free thing for us, that it was going to be a miracle, and it was going to be very obvious what I had to do next.
And so and we've got some listed things, and we've talked a little bit high level about what was on this 5-year plan and how you intended to see, if these things actually happen, then and then did they happen, and how quickly did they happen?
Well, so here's what I'll tell you this. First of all, I'm not proud to say, number one on this is Jill and I need to establish a more clear and consistent biblical basis. This means daily routine of Bible study as a couple. And that's one of the challenges. Like, we were not doing them. That is random. It was things at church, but I was not leading my wife in a Bible study daily. The second thing is a daily routine of prayer, both as a couple and individuals. Number two is this. And it's almost laughable for our family at this point. And I'm not trying to make people feel bad, because I know there are people on this call that probably feel the same way. Number two, I said, we need to volunteer as a family at least 2 times a year. Volunteer as a family 2 times a year. Like, that was a stretch for me at this point. Yeah. So like, when I look at my life today, God has transformed that life. And so I listed the Center of Hope, Food Pantry, Furniture Mission, the Mission, etc. And I wrote, a pattern of service to the lowly does not start in 5 years. It starts right now. And I was the guy, I was the guy that came home from work. I had talked all day long, enjoyed people all day long. And I was ready to just drive into my garage, shut the garage door, and just shut off the world. Like, that's who I was. And I'm not going to, say anything about that. I mean, you get burned out. You get sick of talking all the time. You don't want to just engage your neighbors. And I knew that wasn't my future.
Yeah.
I don't know if I interrupted, but
yeah, I don't remember what I was going to ask.
So basically,
keep going.
Here's what I wrote. And remember, this is 2010. I said, at the end of 5 years, Jill and I may decide to sell the house. This is the one we built as detailed. However, God may guide us to stay. This is part of what we need to figure out the next 5 years. Right now, we feel like it would be most effective mission initiative to live amongst the people that we wish to serve. However, with Ella and another one on the way, there are safety considerations that both Jill and I need to pray through. In our mind, a large old house would be very suitable. Ideally, it'd have a very large area for weekly gatherings, including meals, neighborhood Bible studies. This plan is dedicated to God out of the mind of 2 humans that can be led astray quickly. If this is how God wills, it will happen. This is not a testing of the Almighty God. It is, however, a promise by Barry and Jill Termaat and our family. It's a promise that's full of assumptions regarding God's will for our life and the money he will bless us with in the future. We're not too proud or arrogant to assume that we'll go exactly as we had detailed. Nevertheless, Jill and I feel that it is absolutely essential to provide a detailed process to arrive at the desired location. God has given us 2 wonderful minds to accomplish his will on earth. If this is our will and not his, I ask that God would squash this little plan to bits. We will continue along the path he has chosen, not the path that we lead ourselves. And I signed it.
So, the backdrop of this is written again on January 3rd, 2010. And Barry's conversion, if you will, of cars to compassion childcare. Compassion was started in 2012. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah.
So it wasn't even, even in the process yet in 2010 when this was drafted. And now, why don't you tell us a little bit about the rest of the journey to compassion?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to finish up this thought real quick, and I love this, I'll move right into compassion in a second. But to finish this up, by year 4, at the end of year 4 of this 5-year plan, all of our debt was gone.
Wow.
So I actually told a couple people about this 5-year plan, my dad being one of them. I think I talked to Dave Billion about it pretty early and said, man, if this goes as planned, in 5 years, I won't be in the car business. But starting year 4, I told all my sales staff, probably 20 people, I said, this will be my last year in the car business. 2013 was incredible. Now it was 2014, and we had the best year that I've ever had in the car business. I mean, we still talk about it amongst ourselves. 2014 was that year. And then December 22, 2014, I was done. And I cried my eyes out.
Nobody believed you.
That's right. Yeah, there was very few people, because we were doing so well, because it was obvious I was having so much fun. My dad believed me, but very few people, even that last week in December in the car business that I was working, people were like, you're not leaving.
Yeah.
Like most people, didn't even believe that of my sales staff. And so it was a heart-wrenching moment. This wasn't a situation where I was hoping to get out of the car business and slow down my life, but I knew I needed to have that happen. And so, at that point, it's 2014, the end of 2014, 2015 starting. And that's when I got more involved in a nonprofit that I helped start called Compassion Childcare. And it has been the main focus of my life, although I've got several other things that we're going to talk about in the hopper. So pretty exciting. And this is the 5-year plan is the second big break in my life. When the Lord's Spirit came upon my heart, he gave me this big break. The second big break in my life was not financial. It was a heart thing. And really drew me to write this. And I knew what I had to do. And it was time for me to be a missionary in his way to Sioux Falls. And that's what I've tried to do for the last 11 years.
So being a missionary in Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
And then the genesis of compassion and how that came about and how that, is in alignment with the 5-year plan. Can you tell us how that got started? Can you tell us, how that aligns with your plan and the evolution of what it started with today to where it is right now? Because you have how many kids?
Well, we've got 4 kids. So
I mean, in Compassion.
Oh, sorry. At Compassion, we're serving 150 every week.
Yeah.
And 4 locations right now. So that's been really fun. 92 kids are at our main campus right now. But I think when I left the car business, I wasn't lost. Immediately, I knew that I had to say yes. And what I tried to do, and one of the things that's part of my life now is as often as I can, I try to say yes to relationship, and I try to put my checklist on the back burner. It's hard to do. I mean, I have a checklist. I'm pretty driven, pretty motivated. And I'd still love, setting plans. And even though I know that they're my plans and he dictates my steps. But I think it was really important for me to know that my checklist wasn't probably going to get done. And I don't know if it's ever gotten fully done. I'm quite inefficient, but I try my best to choose relationship over my checklist. And that's one of the things that I got freed up to do. When I left the car business, I really had a sense of freedom. And I've gotten to go on a lot of great adventures around the world, hunting and fishing and doing things like that. But I try my best to not just to justify those things, but to say, this is an intentional trip. This is an intentional thing where I'm going to value relationship and pour time and effort into relationship and speaking out who God is in my heart and my life when we go on these things. So I think that's the first thing that I did. Go ahead.
Yeah. So as it pertains to compassion, again, and pouring into 150 kids a week.
Well, they don't let me near the kids. That's a good thing. We have professionals for that. The great thing, I mean, I want you to, and I've told a lot of you this that know me. You can think of me as like the older brother at Compassion. So if you didn't have family, if you didn't have a connection, if you didn't have a guy for that, for everything that can go wrong in your life, you need an older brother. And so the way I look at it is I try to connect with families. And frankly, the way I connect with a lot of them is when they haven't paid us. Every family at Compassion has to pay for their childcare, but it's a percentage of their income that's doable. And so we're helping a lot of single parents out to be able to afford childcare. But sometimes things go wrong and they can't pay, and I'm head collector at Compassion. And so those conversations might start, with like, hey, what's going on in your life? And later I just get to fit in and be that older brother and be there to help people from changing tires to, I never know what my week's gonna contain. I don't know. I have no idea, but I just know that through the car business, through my connections, through my love of people, guys like you, like I can always I'm one phone call away from helping someone in any circumstance, pretty much.
Yeah.
And through Compassion, I've gotten to know a lot of other ministries as well, that we can just truly just walk them down the hall and be able to give help where I can.
So, I mean, it's clear to me how, you live it out daily, that, God is your CEO, but God is CEO of Compassion as well. How does that play out with your leadership at Compassion, with families, with kids, with staff? I mean, because we've talked about this in the past, like the staff is very, very, very low turnover. They're missionally aligned as well. This is a huge need in the community, providing especially for single moms that need an outlet and need a place that's a budget friendly place where they can bring their kids. Their kids get to have a faith-based background here, a faith-based curriculum, which I know is important and to Compassion as well. So can you speak a little bit to how God is CEO as it pertains to Compassion and the way he's blessed you and the way that it's evolved from a smaller footprint to a much larger footprint and now multi-campus, multi-sites.
Right. Well, just like you, Reggie, you have to have great people. This is no one man's, pulling the rope. You have to have 20 people, 15 people. So we've got donors that have stepped alongside of us, and you know who you are, that have just encouraged in huge ways and said, you know what, we got to do it. We got to take this risk. We've had staff, you talk about low turnover at Compassion, Tony Heddich, Marty Merriman, you got Danielle Muska. Those three have been with us nearly since the beginning. Those are my leadership staff. And so those are the guys and they're all gals. Those are the gals that boots on the ground every day, get it done. And when you give great childcare, when you give great teaching and Jesus' name is proclaimed day in and day out, it allows a guy like me to have a lot more, my conversations with families are so much more effective. Because if we've taken great care of their child and we've taught a child something that they never would have known, like, of course, these families are going to listen to something that I have as far as wisdom. And so for me, all the credit goes to the people that are doing this grind every single day. Because I float in and out like a rogue agent and, do my thing. But what's allowed me to do that is great people. And I make sure that every single week, I would say that Marty and I, the spiritual director, she and I every week have an opportunity to lay out the gospel to someone that's never really heard it. And what I mean by that is their ears and eyes weren't open to hear it. And so we have an incredible opportunity to just crack open the Bible and give wisdom through that. And so it's a gift.
Can you, so the Compassion, the main campus is located on the Empower campus, which is the former communication services for the deaf school. Can you tell us, there's a cool God story behind some of the things that went on to basically make that a reality?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, all of it, I might not even know as many details as you do, to be honest with you. Like, one of the things about me is I keep my blinders on and I'm just in this compassion world. But I can tell you this, is that we watched even the original location, which was the old Stuart Hare building across from the post office. We watched the feeding of the 5,000. We watched people give to this that we had no idea had any interest. We watched the money flow in, and this idea of having one campus that would help people in multiple different ways came to reality like right now. And it was unbelievable, feeding the 5,000, where the people that were starting it, the people that had the dream of this idea, were not the people that were funding this. And so that's super special to think about how one group of people can pray and dream, and the reality comes together because God's in it. And that's what I got to witness.
Yeah. And it's so cool to hear your 5-year plan, because, this all was done and you had the Spirit pouring into you and prepping you and preparing you for such a time as this, in your basement, in your office.
It's unbelievable.
Crying your eyes out, writing this paper. And then 2 or 3 years later, this opportunity opens, parallel to finishing up in the car business. But it was just it was a door opened. It seems that was obvious to you, and it's associating with the lowly. It's checking your boxes, and it's fulfilling a need within the community. And you're being the missionary alignment that you wanted to be and were called to be right here in Sioux Falls.
Well, so I appreciate that. I mean, it's a very nice thing to say about me, but I got a great life. I mean, anyone who's around me very long knows that, man, I get to do a lot of really cool things. So, and that kind of gets to one of my main points. And I want to share this. Like, if you're listening to this right now and like, okay, what do I do with this? Yeah, it's a cool story of Barry. Like, one of my main points that I want you to think about is, how tightly are you holding to your career? That's the thing I had to examine. How tightly are you holding on to your business plan, to your business itself? And could you really let go if you had a clear call from God himself? And that's really the story of my life. And so one of the things I wanted to share with you today that just hit me this morning is the Old Testament sacrificial system. You know what I mean? Like, not something we talk about all that often, but I find it amazing because I know the character of God never changes. And so what God asked his chosen people to do was to take their best breeding stock, take your best lamb, your best sheep. But the one that's blemish free, the one that you want. I mean, if you're a farmer, you want that one to be like the stud horse, right? So it's like, take your stud horse. You're not going to race him. You're going to kill him. You're going to kill him. And so many, if you think about the story of the Bible, all the best things that happened to me in my life were because I killed the thing that I love the most.
Wow. That's the main point, right?
I mean, think of that. And so there's so many different ways to do it. You don't have to leave what you're doing. That's not what I'm asking for. I mean, we need Christian businessmen to have all these people that I came and loved and hand shook today at your business, right? We have to have that. But it's like, I had to kill the two main things that I loved in my life to experience this next level with God. And that was my sales career, which I still love to this day. I could go sell a car tomorrow. Like, I want to. And then number two, my house in Montana. We ended up selling that house in order for us to do what we needed to do. And it was completely paid for. And we sold that house. And that was my favorite possession in life. And when I killed those things, sacrificed those things, so to speak, it became an open door to freedom for me. And so I want you to think about that as a CEO, as a leader of people. is how tightly are you holding to those things? And if you're holding them tightly, what does it mean for you to kill those things, to sacrifice? It doesn't mean you have to quit on them, but how can you hold it loosely in this life? Those are the things that I think that's the main message God's wanted me to carry today.
I think that's on point. And as leaders, as God, as CEO, followers, having that humble spirit, having that humble, upbringing to the point of being vulnerable enough to give that away, and then trusting that.
Yeah.
Right. And in our business, in our home life, the other thing, and I don't want to, you guys set this plan, but it also required, Jill to come along for the ride, and Ella to come along for the ride.
True. Well, Ella didn't get a choice.
Well, but Jill did. She was there,
Jill did.
right?
Yeah.
But and you've been able to see that fulfilled too. That was part of your goal of providing that for your kids.
True.
And providing them a home with a gathering spot. And I know you have game feeds and all kinds of stuff, and you look forward to going and hanging out with all the neighbors.
Totally.
And
so our neighborhood's quite diverse. Yeah. I mean, we live in a house built in 1908 on First Avenue. I would say the neighborhood is all over the board. It's probably the intention, the goal, and God just landed this. That's its own story. But where we live and the people that we get to associate with every day have definitely changed the worldview of my family and mine. And I need my heart changed every single day. I mean, the biggest thing for me is I come up with new business ideas almost every week that I want to do. And that doesn't mean I'm unsettled or unhappy at Compassion. I love it, but it's just like I've got an entrepreneurial, risky type mentality of like, hey, let's do something new. And my life's pretty exciting. And so like it's always a temptation to get off track and just like follow my dream of building things.
If you want some excitement, go watch Barry's LED Nation Bear Hunt. That'll give you some excitement. So there's some other stuff that I'd love to chat about, but I know we're a little tight on time here. But I do want you to tell a little bit about your family and what you've done there and how your family's grown.
Sure.
And now that especially because you're a grandpa.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting, very
grandpa of 3 kids. Yeah. And that's confusing because my oldest son moved in with us when he was 18. His name's Ione. And we had a great mentorship relationship. And so the quick story of that is he lived with us from 18 till he was married to a beautiful woman named Leah Mulder. And so they got married when he was 26. And so I have got 3 grandkids, beautiful grandkids that through the untraditional way.
Yeah.
And so that's been a joy for me to help teach those, especially Warren so far, hunting and fishing and doing all those outdoor fun things that you do with your boys. Yeah. Staying wild. Getting crazy. Yeah. So I got those. And then, so my next oldest, so the first 2 oldest are through adoption. And my next oldest is Kara. She's right now in the nursing program at USF, and she moved in with us when she was 13. And once again, another story. So my wife and I have a real passion for kids. And we actually did Safe Families and a number of other programs that brought kids into our life and our house for months and years sometimes. And so while all this was going on, like the way that we wanted to be missional is to just love on kids. And so that's flipped our world upside down. We gained 2 kids.
So every time I spend some time with Barry, we peel back the onion layer one more. And I learned he's got another adopted kid, or, another cool story where that challenges me and inspires me, and hopefully inspires you today to follow in those footsteps, to truly live missional, to truly make God your CEO, and then you've got 2 biological kids as well.
Yeah. And they're 18 and 15 right now, Ella and Liam. And we just got back on a trip from Colorado. Every year we go snowboarding with those kids. So there's another crazy adventure. I'm still ripping it up, hitting jumps, all that stuff, trying my best. But I mean, I'm going to say this. You hear it all the time. You can't outgive God. I mean, that's a phrase you hear. But I'm telling you, you kill the thing you love most in your heart. And if it's not God, you kill that. You will reap the rewards. And there's probably a perfect Bible verse for that I'm not coming up with.
Yeah.
It sounds like a proverb, right?
Yeah.
There has to be. You won't be sorry. Your life will grow. Like the things that are exciting to you and I mean, you kind of get bored of success, right? I mean, at least I did. You kind of get bored of that. And so then it's like, what kind of what kind of risk can we take for Jesus? Like, what could flip our whole world upside down? And I know I'm kind of strange and different, but I mean, I think that's one of the things is like, if you're an extreme person anyway, why haven't you brought that into your faith life?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you'll take risks with your business and it's exciting and it's fun, but why wouldn't you do that? Like, go somewhere dangerous to lay out Jesus. Like, that might be what you and your family need right now. And don't be afraid of it because he's got you.
Yeah. Yeah. Just trusting God, letting go.
Yeah.
Barry, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun to do this with you. Do you have any final parting shot for the people?
I've been hammering on you guys already quite a bit. So it's a joy. It's humbling. Even to share this 5-year plan with each one of you. For me, it's super special because it's personal and it is humbling to see, but it's also a joy when you write things down and save it. It's a joy to look back on. It's a joy to see, like, what has God done in my life? What has God done in my family? And so, yeah, risk taking is worth it. And it's a lot more fun. Just do it for Jesus.
That's a wrap. Thanks so much, everybody.
God bless you.
God bless. We'll see you.